Hello everyone. Wow, the background music isn't playing. That's fine. I'll fix that real quick. Whoops. There it is. That's better. How's that? Well, hello, and happy Friday to you. How are you? We are live here at, should I call it the throne room? I don't know. The studio, the Comic Sans studio. How are you guys? Did you sleep okay? Did you have a good breakfast? Do you have your coffee, your protein shake, your juice, whatever it is that you do? Do you have it? Do you have your kitty cat or your pups? I am surrounded by, everything. Last night's members only stream was rather interesting. Oh, y'all should have caught that one while it was still up. But there will be more. There will be more. So don't fret. I will make sure that there is more. But we have a really, really awesome show today. I am very excited. It is not often that we have someone along on the ride for a daily dose of Dork to join us while we check in with the chat and do a couple headlines. But also, we have an author who has a very, very interesting world building. And you know how I really love good world building. I'm a world builder myself. Okay. But I really, really love superheroes, and I really love just full-fledged, interesting world building. So without further ado, make sure you've got the like button smashed. Okay. Did you do it? Did you? I'm watching it. Okay. Okay. Just making sure. Make sure you have the like button smashed. Okay. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring that notification bell so you get notified whenever I am back with even more of this nerdy chaos. And perhaps you should enlist in the Nerdling Army so you don't miss out on any more of the really, really awesome members only streams, the early access to all the drops, all the breakdowns that I do, the emojis and gifts and the YouTube community and the Discord, blah, 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 blah. I'm always here. I'm always working. So my husband actually said today, like, maybe you should just not do it today. I'm sorry. That's a hard no. Can't do that for you today. I mean, how about you just not golf, homie? Can you not golf? You can't? Can you not leave your dirty socks on the floor in front of the hamper? Oh, that's impossible? Okay, so I'll be streaming. Sorry, pal. Love you, but no. Anyway, without further ado, without any more of my nonsense running about, ladies and gentlemen, I give you... Do I have a video? John Douglas! Welcome to the Daily Dose of Dork on Comics. And sir, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. Guys, don't forget, smash that like button. Smash it like it's your stepsister. I mean, what?
What? Ew. I mean, if she's super hot, like, and you didn't grow up together, then, I mean...
Well, stepsisters are always getting stuck in dryers and things like that. You got to help them out when they can.
John, if for some reason the people in the chat don't know who you are, tell them who you are.
Hi, guys. I'm John A. Douglas. I am an independently published fantasy author. I am a lifelong fan of a lot of media, animation, comics, movies, things of that nature, and especially a lifelong fan of fantasy and reading. It was one of the only things that I was ever really good at when I was a kid. I was always in remedial classes because I probably grew up with undiagnosed autism, high-functioning autism, and but the reading and the writing was always the one thing I was always really ahead in. So it's always been a calling for me, and I spent years... Had a lot of life and family and stuff that kind of got in the way while I was chugging away in the background trying to get get my writing, stuff in order. And by the time I kind of reached a point where I'm like, I feel like I'm good enough to really put something out there. The publishing industry had changed, and I was not a demographic that was welcome in that world anymore. So I started in about 2018, 2019, I started kind of turning and seeing, the direction that a lot of our media was going. And I figured independent was going to be the way that a lot of people were going to be swinging to the way I did. These days, like, all my entertainment is YouTube and independent books and comics. And it's been that way for several years now, and I have not regretted it one bit. And they always say you got to be the change you want to see in the world. So I write the books that I want to read. And a lot of my readers feel very much the same way. And they've reciprocated that with wonderful reviews and sticking with me the entire way. So I'm always trying to signal boost. When I had my YouTube channel, I was always trying to signal boost indie comics, indie books, other YouTubers and platforms. It's been a great thing, and I've been loving it ever since. And I'm sorry I found your channel just only very recently, but thank you for having me today.
Oh no, thank you for asking me. I was super flattered. And hey, that's something that seems to have happened a lot lately. A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I just found you." I'm like, "I've been here 7 years. It's been happening a lot." Like, so, and I think it's because I just recently discovered how SEO actually works. So
yeah, I had to learn a lot of that the hard way too.
I learned that the hard way, and I've rebranded a couple of times. I learned that the hard way, like how to actually brand properly. This is all very new, the new branding, and that is my own artwork. I drew that. That's my own handwriting and stuff. And I was like, guys, look what I did. Like I did this on an iPad. Like that was just like I'm gonna be 46 in about a month, and that was just the coolest thing in the world to me. I was able to pull that off. So yay me. And apparently that's worked, because I've got a bunch of new people who have like, hey, I just found your channel. Like, wow. Like, thank you so much. But I too am I'm an urban fantasy and fictional, like historical fiction fantasy author myself. And I published my first book in 2006, and after that I became a single mom. I was married, became a single mom with 4 kids. And so writing and everything definitely went on the back burner for about 23 years. So when I have reemerged, in the last year or so, huge difference. Huge.
Oh yeah, a lot of shakeups in the last 15 years in publishing, and Amazon's print on demand for indie publishing really changed things up a lot. I know.
Let me say, God bless Amazon, because that is I'm going to be publishing on Amazon myself here, if as soon as I can finish this, and I'll get to that when I do my announcements real quick. But I'm going to be publishing my historical fiction fantasy, dark fantasy, Last Dance of the Hesperides novella series, which is prequel to my comics. And Caro Brown is the one who told me about it a while back. And I was like, wait, hold on. You're telling me all I have to do is write something. All I have to do is write something. And I can publish it myself on Amazon Kindle. And she's like, yeah. It's like digital and physical if I want. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, son of a bitch. Do you have any idea? Like I submitted like manuscripts. And when I did that 20 something years ago, that was, you had to submit the first 3 chapters or 50 pages with, synopsis, information about yourself. And it all had to be very professional, typeface, letterhead, all that stuff. And, with a self-addressed stamped envelope, because that was your rejection. You were you had to put your own rejection envelope in with it. It was very depressing. And
I remember I
yeah,
remember studying little magazines and writing magazines on how to submit your
mhm.
manuscript, how to nicely put it in a nice little tidy packet so that they can
Mhm.
look at it and reject it almost immediately and let it make
Yep.
sure it looks nice while it's sitting on that slush pile rotting with everybody else.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And not to say that stuff didn't get through, or even some stuff doesn't get through now, but my goodness, the landscape has changed so much, and there's
Mhm.
still way too many people who believe in that particular clout structure, which is what it
Yes.
is. It's a
Yeah.
politically and activist driven clout structure these days. I have not submitted because by the time I was ready to even start something like that, the landscape had changed to where it was just toxic too. If you're a straight male author, they don't want you unless you come with money attached. So two big examples of that right now will be Brandon Sanderson. He kind of was grandfathered in at the last second when the industry changed, when all the older editors who worked based on meritocracy and quality retired, and those who came in after them were, hey, what if we published as much stuff that's as female and brown as possible? And that's all that they've been doing. Now, you have had a recent success. Matt Dinneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl, you are going to hear that. That's going to blow up in the next year whenever that TV show gets dropped.
Yeah.
But Matt was independent first, and he was a
Mhm.
success. And
Yeah, and he's thrown Will straight under the bus, like,
yes,
right away. Like, "Oh, look, I got money and success, so bye, Will."
he had money. He had money. He had not just the money, but he had the fans. That's what the publishers really are looking for in the indies. Who's got the fan base that's coming with you? Quick little story. A couple years ago, when I originally started my YouTube channel back in 2021, 22, there was a Star Wars author, a female Star Wars author named E.K. Johnston, and she put a
Yeah.
tweet that went a little viral,
Mhm.
complaining that her publisher did not market her. They asked her to increase her social media presence and basically do her own marketing. Now, if the big publishers are asking you to do your own marketing, why are you not just writing for yourself at that point? The
Right.
game at that point, it was apparent the game has changed. And it's come out in court now that most authors that work for these big publishers, most of them sell less than 1,000 copies. Well, I've already broken that particular trend. I sold over 1,000 copies of the Black Crown in the past 2 years. So I'm over 50% of
That's
what a lot of newer trad pub
great.
authors do sell. But Matt's getting in there, but Matt had to pay a price, right? Matt had to publicly distance himself from somebody that the industry actively hates, and that was Will Jordan, the critical drinker.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the book is great. Matt himself was probably good at it. That left a really bad taste in my mouth. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I've met Will. I've spent time with him, worked alongside him this year, and he was an absolute charm. Just a gentleman, wonderful person. Um, in fact, I don't want to get into like detail stuff, but there was a situation where I had been mistreated, and Kara went and told Will that the individual who had mistreated me was a huge critical drinker fan. And so Will came over. He's like, "Let's do this, Lassie." And he puts his arm around me, and we did like a whole photo shoot, like together. He's like, "Post that immediately." Like, he was wonderful. He was just lovely, a lovely individual, and very warm and kind. And I can't imagine just being cruel to someone like that, tossing them aside, who had helped you become successful, and
Yeah.
I have had experience myself where someone has helped me improve my craft, has helped me or become more successful. I'm not saying I'm a total success. I'm just saying has improved my level of success. And something tried to get me to throw this individual under the bus or walk away or toss this person aside. And I basically said, no, I can't do that. Like, I was physically ill over the whole situation. I can't imagine doing that. But we do have a lot of people in the chat. So I usually have just a little good morning section with them. So it's time to check in. All right. And of course, as always, members of the channel are members in the Nerdling Army, and super chats, super thanks, super stickers. They get their good mornings first because, contrary to what your therapist tells you, the love we have here is transactional. You should get what you pay for. It's only fair. So first and foremost, we have Ensign Deranged Lunatic. Good morning, my good man, my good sir, good morning. And we have Lieutenant Fancheered. Good morning. We have Lieutenant Backyard TARDIS. Good morning, my Red 5 brother. Hello, hello, hello. Ensign Loki Jarson. Hello. He says it's likely Dinneman uses AI given his output.
I don't know. That millennial humor doesn't really come real well from a machine. You know, that kind of snark is born from millennial writers that hang out on Reddit too much.
Ha 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 ha. You know, I've never actually truly been on Reddit. Like, I've seen it. I have a Reddit account, but I've never like used it. So I'm really, really illiterate to a lot of the things one finds on the interwebs. Like,
it's horrible and overly political. But even if you're going on there just for the literature element or the fantasy takes, like there's a big subreddit for fantasy on there, and there's a millennial class of writers, Sanderson and Dinneman and whatnot, who are like they either live and die by Reddit because they're always doing like AMAs on there, and I can't not for the life of me wonder why. I can't figure it out. Like their takes are just awful. I remember Daniel Green. He's the biggest booktuber. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, but he had a list. He went over. He did a video where it was like Reddit lists their top favorite science fiction and fantasy series of all time, and I'm like, well, this ought to be really interesting and terrible, and it was, and that was after his sponsor showed up 5 minutes into it, and he was fisting a sex toy on the right there in his video. I'm like, dude, really? If I'm lying, I'm dying. I've got the screenshot and everything.
I don't need to see it. It's okay. I believe
it was ridiculous. Oh God. I know that's everybody
so
needs to. I'll never bash people too much for, you know, having a sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, whatever. You got to get that bag. You got bills to pay, but you know, my dignity is worth something.
Yeah.
A little selective.
Yeah. I mean, I try to trust me, I try, because I have I had Zenny. I had Zenny and apparently I'm still getting like $20 every 6 months. So that's nice. But another eyeglass people reached out. I can't pronounce it. It's like AOOLIA, Aeolia. And I was like, what a coincidence. I just hit menopause. My eyesight is shit. I desperately need new glasses. Thank you. Yes, I will take that. So I've got that, but I try to go for things that not only I need and like, but my people would too. And like, I have TikTok, like a TikTok shopper. I don't peruse on TikTok. I hate it. But there's been offers like underwear brands or whatever. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, how do I
want you to model it off?
They do. TikTok, you have to use the product. You have to show it off. And I'm like, I showed my husband. He's like, no, you're not doing that. I'm like, no, nobody wants to see that. Trust me. No, no, I'm not doing that shit. You're out of your damn mind. So you won't believe the products on TikTok that I'm telling you, the toys are there. the toys, the ointments, we'll say, and all that stuff. And they send the request to me like, hey, you want us to? I'm like, no, you are barking up the wrong tree. Do you see the name? Comics. And like, hello. What, do you just not give it? I know reading comprehension is on the decline, but I didn't think it was that bad, man. Like, come on. Okay, well, we're off to a great start. Let's head on over to the parts of the chat who have not yet enlisted. Mama Penny! Good morning, Mama Penny. She is the hardest working subscriber on YouTube. I assure you. I promise you that. And Mama Penny, Amelia says thank you. And you know what that's for. Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, who is that? Who is that?
He looks a little handsome to me.
Yeah. A handsome looking guy. And we have both of our favorites, Mr. Cosmortal Comics. Hello, sir. Hello. And Monique Rupley. Good morning, Monique Rupley. Oh, and thank you very much. Good morning, madam. Thank you very much for that. And who else we have? We have Abomination
AJ, my boy.
Where you been, dude? Haven't seen you in forever. Good morning. Good morning, James Hurley says, if Dinneman did this to Kino Casino, then I would be furious. But then again, what he did to Draker was Two-Face. Exactly. I cannot abide that. I can't. I am who I am, and that's all that I am. Good morning, Chris Fisk.
Chris Fisk, good to see you, sir.
And B.A. Turner. Hello, hello. I hope you guys all come back when John's not here. Like, I hope you all subscribe and come back. A. Campbell. Hello. Authors do not like those questions. Okay. We don't know.
That's a long running in joke between me and Andrew Campbell there.
Oh, we don't know. Okay. We don't know. But while, I feel a little underdressed because, you've got your Ripa hat on. And I usually
just wear whatever my newest hat is. I pick a favorite hat and I go, oh yeah, I've got that one around here somewhere. But I'm not a fan of the flat caps. I like the curved caps for me. And I very recently got my Alpha Core. I'm like, oh, that is sexy, that Alpha Core. I've got to have that one. I've got
Eric.
I got the Horseman cap around here somewhere. That one's another favorite of mine.
Hold on. Eric was very kind.
I've been Rippaverse Ride or Die since day one. I'm a little behind on the comics at the moment because their release schedule is a little faster than my wallet can keep up with.
Ain't that the truth? And I'm trying to fund a comic book myself, so I am very behind. But luckily, they understand and are cool with me just promoting the hell out of their stuff and working booths when I can and selling their comics on my Amazon store. So
yeah, I used to love having I loved having the indie comics guys on my old channel. In fact, that was the last live stream before the channel got yanked by the AI moderation, was an indie comic showcase. I had Yellow Flash, Aaron Sparrow, and a couple other dudes on. I can't remember who off the top of my head, but I remember those two guys were on. And then they got wake up on July of last year, and they're like, "Yeah, your channel's gone, and it's not coming back." I'm like, "What?" And it took I had everybody. I had Nerdrotic and Az and Critical Dream. They were all sharing. It's like, man, get this guy's channel back, and they couldn't. They didn't have the pull to kind of help that when I was the last one to show on that show. Yes, Fisk, you were. I remember that you were there. Now I remember. Oh gosh.
Wow.
Because when I started my YouTube channel, you remember I mentioned how I went indie kind of ride or die. I started off my YouTube channel firstly to have a place where I could, have like a base platform. I didn't ever have to ask anybody else to go on their shows or anything like, that I always had a place where I could get on and talk and have no barrier between me and my audience. And they took that away. But when I started it, I was just doing like culture commentary and things like that. And then I realized we have so many creators out here and we have a deficit of platforms. So
Yeah.
after that I turned my channel into a place where I would interview indie authors, indie comic creators, just
Hmm.
whoever, and have them on and talk about them, give them a place that they can come for whatever difference it made, whatever, however many, few eyes I could put on someone else's project. That's what it meant to me, because I know it means a lot to the indie creators. So that's
Yes.
why I started it, and I may still restart a channel because YouTube really doesn't care. So,
Mhm.
but
No,
right these days I've been very, very busy.
that's that's something I've been doing a lot of, is having a lot of indie creators on over the last year. Just a lot of indie creators. And I didn't even it kind of happened by accident. They just started reaching out. I'm like, well, sure. Come on with it. And it was really fun. And hopefully it helped a few of them out, because I'm an indie creator myself. And I mean, I know I need all the help I can get getting the word out about my comic. So why not? Like, bring everyone on. Let's do it. And when you reached out, I was like, well, hell yeah, dude. You're hilarious. I love talking to you. Let's do it. But I like to take a minute to kind of catch everybody up on what's going on real quick on my channel, so that they're kind of in the know. Um, so we're just going to do 5 seconds on the docket. I just love that campy cartoon music. Anyway, real quick, guys. I know everyone is waiting for the big bar to break down. I am waiting for the big bar to break down. I want to set fire to Adobe. Um, I've had a nightmare of an experience with Adobe. I don't know what happened. That this last update, every time I open my program file, it changes my sequence settings and the frame is moved over. So I would have to go through and like fix the frame for every single clip that I have, like every single tiny edit. And I had like a nervous breakdown yesterday. Like, I can't do this again. Like, that's like 3 days worth of work I have lost on this freaking breakdown. I've been working on it for like a month. So I had to cut it in half, export it, both halves, and then import it into DaVinci Resolve, which the plan was to learn DaVinci Resolve after this breakdown so I could just start using that and just leave Adobe behind forever and never think about it again. Well, guess what? I'm learning on the go now, which sucks hairy donkey balls, but it's what I have to do. But anyway, um I have like 30 minutes left of footage to get through. It's fine. I am going to power through and I'm going to deliver this breakdown to you guys, and it's going to be the best damn breakdown you have ever seen in your lives. I promise it's going to happen. So there's that. Next week, I don't know what's going on with plot holes and payoffs yet. It's probably just going to be Caro and I. We'll pick something fun though. It'll be great. And if you missed the members only stream last night and you wake up today and you thought, hey, that's okay, I'll just catch the rewatch. I'm a member. The rewatch will be there. And you wake up today and it's gone. Sorry, you missed it. That when it comes to those kinds of streams, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, those kinds of streams, there is a possibility that they may have to be deleted in the future. And we all may have to discuss that privately because of things. So just make sure when it comes to those super special members only streams of that nature, you're going to want to show up for them. Trust me on that one. But I think, oh, okay. I will show you guys real quick. Real quick, the first kind of beta version we have for the first cover for Veiled Legacy Midwest Gothic. No one has seen this yet. No one. I showed the members something last night, but this is different. This is something different. So here you have the first kind of why is it not there any day now? Here we go. Ta-da! There is the first kind of test version of my comic, Veiled Legacy, Book 1, Midwest Gothic. It's about a rural Midwestern family's act of kindness turns into a supernatural home invasion, leaving Emma Hogan to survive the night alone, while her twin brother Jimmy Hogan has to race against the clock to save his family from forces unknown before they are lost forever. James Bond gadgetry, vampires, all kinds of carnage, nonstop action and suspense. It is not Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There is no romance. Okay. It's just, I will surprise you and rip your guts out. But anyway, like actual guts, like not make you sob and cry. Like you might vomit. But anyway, there's the cover that we're playing around with. Very, very proud of it. Evan Scale is an absolute wizard. He's a wizard, Harry. And yeah, there's some tweaks that we're playing around with it, but very, very happy. Those are the announcements that I have for now. Thank you guys so much for suffering through my nonsense yet again.
Loving that art style, by the way.
Thank you. He is awesome. He is awesome. He is so good. Which one? Me, him, who, me, what? Thank you. I think. Anyway, let's talk about you. Tell me all about your books, because when you pitched, it was funny because you didn't have to like pitch the interview to me. That was flattering. When you pitch, you're like, it's fantasy and superheroes, and I really think that would. I'm like, stop, say no more, fam.
Yeah, the concept is catching everybody a little off guard, and when I came up with the concept of the Lionheart, which is my second book, which is out now, I wasn't looking to do a genre mashup. I was looking to do something different, and that's been kind of the case with all of my books that I come up with. Is I'm always looking for you got to look for ways to stand out in the crowd, right? And especially in the fantasy genres, you what are you doing that's slightly different than everyone else? And it may just be bog standard fantasy like everybody else, and some people really appreciate that. They're like, I like this kind of thing, and I just want more of it. And so you have a lot of books that end up doing that. I will get the link real quick, but
I've got it.
When it comes to the the Black Crown, initially my thought, the way I wanted to stand out was I have a main character who's a half-orc, which is not common. And so I'm in a very small minority of indie fantasy authors who use an orc or half-orc main character. As you can tell cool. From the cover for it, that it stands out. It's a little different. You're going to get something. And all credit for these covers goes to J. Caleb Designs, who is my cover artist. He is a phenomenal artist, and he creates really eye-catching covers. So when it came time to do this next book, which is the second of 3 planned starter books, I really wanted to have something that was a little off-kilter, a little different. I had the idea of a guardian-type character, a character who could face threats that nobody else in the world could take. Not that one. That's the art structure.
Oh, I thought. Okay, never mind.
I'll get to that. Apologies. I'll get to that in a minute. So the Lionheart, I was like, the more I developed it, the more I thought, this is really just a superhero origin story in an epic fantasy. It's not a portal fantasy. It's not an isekai. This is a character who is born in this world, is in the same world as the Black Crown. At the same time, it is simply a different set of characters to follow. And this is a starter book into the Age of Adventures fantasy series that I have. It's set in a world called Allspire, much like a lot of fantasy worlds. You can read either or. They do not require each other in order to understand each other. So, and that's by design. These are separate starter books. They are complete adventures that do not sequel bait you. And that's the plan for my third book that I'm working on right now as well. So that people who one and done, book ones don't feel like they have to come back for more, and people who want to go back and read more have something else to go back and read. This book in particular, though, was born out of a lot of animosity from myself towards the superhero media that we have gotten, the bad superhero media that we've gotten over the past 6-7 years. I got tired of the evil Superman trope. Yes. Not a fan of The Boys whatsoever. That was one of the last straws of the trope of, hey guys, what if superheroes were actually murdering assholes? Wouldn't that be relatable? Right. And meanwhile, those fan bases are consisting of people who, if they had superpowers, they would be murdering assholes. I just got tired of it. I got tired of the deconstruction of superheroes and heroism in general. I got tired of the subversion that comes from them. And so much that I just was so frustrated. I said, well, I'm just going to have to do it myself. Why not do it in this setting? And so even as far back as when I was writing The Black Crown 4 years ago, I was very intentionally like nerfing the magic in my world and how it works, so that when this guy who shows up with his superpowers and his ability to fly, it is special. It is meaningful in that world. And it is something that, yes, very much so. The Marxist deconstruction, it's terrible. I wanted something that was genuine, authentic heroism, an altruistic hero who had moral complexity that didn't require him brushing up against the morals and having to step over the line to be interesting. I was not a fan of Zack Snyder's Superman, and for that reason, him killing Zod in the first Superman movie, like that's a story you tell 3 or 4 movies down the line. It's the same way with The Boys. It was infuriating to me, and I wanted to do something that was much more than that. And that's kind of where the Lionheart was born from. So I took a superhero concept, I dropped it into this world of epic fantasy. It's set in a desert empire called Norn Rath, which is essentially a fantasy Egypt. So you're a little bit more removed from the norm by being a fantasy Egypt, a fantasy Egyptian. Well, he's not Egyptian. He is quite heavily melanated. Because man, I grew up loving a lot of black superheroes in the 90s. And my favorite one was Bishop. Just a complete Chad.
Me too. I was talking about him this morning. I'm not even kidding. That's so funny. Like episode 4 of X-Men 97, he was
and I saw he's back.
He's so amazing.
Took away the hair, the Jerry curl that was mullet. Man, that was such a great look for him because he looked so different from everybody else. He had cool powers and he just looked cool.
And he kept saying like, how about now? And Apocalypse starts to like power up. He's like, all right, how about now? Like, can we go? Like, Bishop is always right. You have to listen to this man. I love him. I love him so much. You're absolutely right. We do have a $2 super chat from Lieutenant Fan Cheered. Says, right there with you on The Boys. I am too. I'm not a big fan of The Boys. They just, all that show is about is shock value. They just want to shock you and see how many realistic looking giant penises they can get their special effects department to make. Like, or is it just like a humiliation ritual for the props department? That's what it feels like.
That was actually the moment that I noped out of it, because I watched the first season and there was almost an interesting point to be made there.
Yes.
In season 2, you have a scene where a guy with a 30-foot prehensile dick chokes out another man. And at that point I was like, I can't. This show is too retarded to exist. I can't. I know it's a black comedy, but like I don't find any of this funny. It's insufferable from start to finish. And the comic book is even worse because it's so hateful towards the concept of superheroes, because Garth Ennis doesn't like superheroes. So what happens when he intentionally wrote one about something he doesn't like? Well, it's mean spirited, and I don't like that in superhero media. I really don't.
Yeah, because the whole point of superheroes is supposed to be aspirational. It's supposed to be about it's a mythology about morality tales. At least with DC, it's most definitely about that mythology, about morality tales, learning about what you should want to be more like. Like, here is a lesson in how to handle this situation and that situation, etc.
Yeah.
And with X-Men, it was about, look at how shitty these people are getting treated, and here's how you should handle that. Like, here's the best way you should handle that. Like, Magneto is showing you how you probably shouldn't handle that situation, but Professor X is showing you, you know what, this is actually how we rise above that stuff. And
Well, that might have been in the old days, but X-Men, unfortunately, X-Men used to be about, they did so much more than that. They used to go to space. They used to go to the Savage Lands. They fought crazy super villains and all kinds of stuff. They used to be an action adventure superhero book, and they have tugged off to the civil rights allegory for so long that it's become the only thing that they know how to do with the X-Men. That's why I'm not looking forward to more X-Men stories, because it's the only story they want to tell. And it's just, it's not interesting. You did it for 14 films, man. Do something else.
I know. And the way Marvel Studios has gone, it's not great.
They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, and I don't give them that anymore.
No, not with who all they have running it right now. I mean, when you have Disney Studios saying, listen, you're the problem child right now, and I need you to stop, you should be concerned. You should be very concerned. Very concerned. But tell me, I want to know about your world. Like, how we're big, like, this channel is really about world building, about breaking down worlds and stories. So make us experts in your world without giving spoilers on stories.
No, absolutely. Allspire is that was one thing of the vision that I had when I was kind of creating the book, because originally when I started writing the Black Crown, I was like, I'll do what everybody does, book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many long. And what's kind of changed in publishing a little bit over the last, I want to say 5, 6 years, there's been a bit of an attitude, a vibe shift that's been going on towards these long running series. This is, I promise I'm getting there. So
no, go for it. Take your time.
I decided, rather than one long running series, I'll have like an arc structure that I mentioned earlier, that's kind of designed where you can have as many jumping on and jumping off points as possible. And the people that want to read as much as possible, they're happy. The people who want to jump in and jump out in books, a book 1 or a book 1 or 2, can do that without, feeling like that. So I'd always intended for Allspire, this world, to be a setting in which I could have any kind of story that I wanted to write. But I definitely had rules for it. I used to have videos too that they deep dived into the lore of this as well. It feels at first, like when you look at it, it's not going to feel too much different from a lot of, European-ish fantasy worlds, but it's a world that once upon a time did have its own version of Sauron as a character named Selrock the God Sorcerer. And what he did kind of had lasting repercussions for this entire world, where he was a sorcerer who had no upper limit. He almost achieved godhood. And right when he was at the cusp of it, the gods themselves decided to break my camera and make it stop working. If you can still hear me, I'll try and endeavor to fix this. My camera does
Okay,
this from
just
time
keep
to time. I
talking.
do
You're fine.
apologize. So,
No, we're used to that stuff here. Wouldn't be my channel without technical difficulties. So keep going, man.
right. So anyway, Solrock, he almost achieved godhood right as he was at the cusp of it. Decided that the gods decided to step out of their heavens and basically blast him off the face of the earth. This kind of sent their world into a bit of a dark age for a while, and it bounced back thanks to this new power structure called the Crown Pantheon. This is 7 kingdoms that work together in unison. They've got a bit of a Cold War stalemate going on, but the Age of Adventures does not start until what is this? There's ages in the of Allspire. The the era when Solrock was waging war on essentially the entire world, and pretty much winning because he was that damn powerful, was called the War of Sorrows. Afterwards, you had what was called the Age of Ruin, where people were, it was basically post-apocalyptic. They were just trying to survive. That was followed by the Age of Crowns, which was the formation of the Crown Pantheon. At the end of that, you had basically stable life. And people began to discover in a very D&D style way that the armies of Solrock, once upon a time, had dug outposts and cave structures, things like that, where they piled riches, loot, magic items, stuff of that nature that were inhabited by monsters. And people began to discover, hey, this is a very high risk, adventuring became a high risk but very lucrative profession that they can engage. And that's what started what was called the Age of Adventures, where, if you think about it, it's essentially a place where every D&D adventure setting happens. There's dungeons to explore, there's monsters to slay, there's magic stuff to discover that from this time that that is centuries in the past. But the book series start when it's kind of in its dying days. All the dungeons have been delved, everything's been looted. Most of the places on Allspire have been discovered or so dangerous that nobody can actually go there and survive. And just before the start of the books, we had an event called the Orc Wars, where the tribes kept getting driven out of places where they wanted to inhabit. And so in order to be more powerful than their pursuers, they joined forces. They formed a massive horde that was led by an individual named Warlord Thorgoth. And the Orc Wars ended up ending because Thorgoth wound up kidnapping one of the queens of the only human kingdom in the Crown Pantheon, is a kingdom named Namaria. And this got the rest of the Crown Pantheon to band together and go against the orcs in one final climactic battle where they rescued the queen. She was still alive, only to find out she was heavy with the child of Warlord Thorgoth. And that is the main character of the Black Crown, Ragoth, who is a half-orc, who, unlike a lot of other half-orcs, who are usually, a little dumber than humans, but a little weaker than orcs, he's a little different. He's a little, he's renty for an orc. He's normal human size, he's like 5'10", right? At 17 years old. He is book smart because he has lived in isolation, because he's kind of an embarrassment to the family in a lot of ways. And the king kind of let him live in this library wing for his entire life. He's never been outside of it. And so he's a knowledge sponge. He has perfect memory recall. And, he spent his life reading this library, some of it twice. He retains all the information from it. At the start of the book, he's goes through some shenanigans. I'll leave that for readers of it. And he kind of gets thrown out into the world, and he's told, here's your quest. You need to go find your father's people so they can help you with the next part of it. And off he goes into the wild world that he's only read about up to that point. And the great thing about this is Ragoth is I get to use him as a bit of an expo dump at times, because he has not great knowledge of the world, but no practical application. So when they come across something that the other characters in this that he joins up with have no knowledge of. He's able to go, well, I read this and this and this. There's a point in it when he picks a lock, and he only knows how to pick a lock because he read about the internal mechanisms in a guide about dwarven mechanics. He knows about flora and fauna. He knows where he is in a city because he's studied the map of the city, and he can kind of mentally see like a little top-down version of himself. He knows where in the city he is. He knows where to go and where things are located instead of wandering around. But he's got no street smarts. So he's a little naive like that. And, he comes across a lot of interesting interactions because this is about 20 years after the end of the Orc Wars. The Orc Wars lasted for a couple of decades. It was a very contentious time. One of the consequences of that, and not a lot of people touch on these issues, is the children of war that were left behind, where there are a lot of half-orc bastard children just kind of wandering about. They're a bit of an underclass, and, they're treated very poorly in that manner. And he kind of gets to see that once he's outside the walls and he doesn't have that royal protection anymore, he has to hide his identity because, one, nobody would believe it, but two, he's led to believe that he would be killed if his identity gets out. So he essentially has to masquerade as just another penniless half-orc bastard. They're called the Orc-born. In a derogatory manner, they're called Orc brats. And people don't like them. People don't want them around. They see him, they turn their nose up at him. And it makes, traveling a little hard. But he's not without help. He's got a little party like most adventures do. In the way that I kind of wanted to, move out of like a European, medieval period. This is a world that is on the cusp of a magical industrial revolution. And, so magic is used for a lot, but it's very heavily policed. I mentioned Selrock earlier, right? Selrock becoming so powerful was a problem for the people that use magic. So during the Age of Crowns, the people, all the magic users kind of banded together for just the aspect of survival. And they formed this order called the Arcane Order, which is just short for the Order of the Arcane Flame. I get people kind of wondering, like, why do you do this thing where you give something more than one name? And I'm like, because that's what people do. Okay. How many different names do you have for police? Okay. Cops, the Fuzz, think about money. How many different names do you have for money? It's called a dollar. It's also called a buck. It's also called, so people, you'll have an official name people will have names in my stories, and they'll also have the abbreviated version that people call them. So, Ragoth goes by Rags. And he comes across, hold on, I need a little drink here.
Oh, relatable.
Yeah. Ragoth joins up with another main character, the other POV character, the Black Crown, a bit of, God, how do I describe Cortland? Cortland is the quintessential farm boy that wants to become a knight. He wants to become a famous adventurer because he doesn't want to do that anymore. But unlike a lot of farm boys, Cortland's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a fiery temper. He's a brawler by nature. I drew inspiration from antagonistic best friends in anime, Vegeta and Bakugo, because I had written this book, and I reached a moment where I realized a lot of the dialogue between my characters sounded too similar. So I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta dice this up a little bit. So Cortland, in every way, is the opposite of Rags. He is, he was a dirt poor potato farmer son. He wanted to become a knight, so he went into the big city and became a guard, only to find out that was a bit of a dead-end job. So he leaves that. So he's like, forget it. I'm going to become an adventurer. And he ends up on the road. He has nothing, but he's all street smarts, whereas Rags was all book smarts. So these two end up complementing each other very heavily throughout the story because they need each other for this. They team up with another an elf who is helpless, named Denny, who is a religious goodwill worker, has no practical skills whatsoever. He's just there for along for the ride, essentially. And they also team up with my heavy, Now, I'm old enough to have lived in a time when the heavy being a girl was still kind of new and interesting. So
Yeah.
I don't think I have I don't think I have the artwork of her on hand, but the heavy of the book is a former adventurer, a world weary arena combat veteran named Mora, who's half Minotaur. And
I love it.
I wish I could find that artwork. I may try and do that while I'm talking. But the thing is, she gets hired by them to kind of escort him on his journey, and they kind of go off together. They play off of each other, and it's it becomes a very classic adventure in a lot of ways. But the book's been out long enough to say, oh well, we've been there's some twists and turns that a lot of people didn't expect. Even Blaine Pardoe, who you interviewed yesterday, that was a great stream, by the way.
Oh, thank you. He's wonderful.
He read The Black Crown to my shock, and he was lovely. He's like, I did not expect some of these. He even said a lot of authors trying to pull all these elements together don't pull it off. John did, and it's the mark of a great writer. And I've lived off that high for quite some time. I'm not going to lie.
I would say so. My goodness, congratulations.
I found it.
Oh, yay.
Let me post it more. I have all the characters' artwork here. I should have brought that up, but I didn't know we'd be talking as much about the Black Crown. Come on, image file. I got an image files here somewhere. There it is. There's Mora. There's my 7-foot tall redheaded.
Oh, I love her. See, I love characters like this. If you do them right, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. I've created a character. I described her as just looks like she's just built like a truck. She's just this old general, and her name is Bogart, but she people call her Boogie, and she hates it. She's missing an arm. She's got a scar on her face, and she's got, when I hear her talk, she's got a Kiwi accent because it's my favorite. But I love her. I just know right away that she's gonna be my favorite.
She's the big sister of the group. And was initially she didn't want to go along. She was big. Her heyday was she's 140 years old. So her heyday during the during the Age of Adventures, and that's kind of over now. And she kind of spends her time bouncing people out of bars, which is where they end up meeting her. But they know that she ends up wanting to do, she'll do anything for some gold, and they happen to have a little gold. So it's like, hey, will you help escort us, because it's going to be dangerous on this road, and we don't want to, come across something we can't handle. And so that's why she ends up joining. Her weapon is actually a mace. I don't know what the artist was thinking when I think I initially said I wanted an axe hammer combo, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Just
sure,
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But she looks great. And I have others. Some other character portraits here. I don't know if I can find Cortland, but yeah, that is, let's see here. Sorry, I have trouble concentrating when I'm typing at the same time and talking. But it's
that's hard to do.
Yeah.
I start typing what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I will just put these on the board for you guys.
And while you're doing that, we do have another super chat from Fan Cheered, Lieutenant Fan Cheered. He says, John Douglas, where do we get your work again? I went ahead and put that link. And he also has another $2 super chat, says, word for word, our sentiments on the boys, when we were talking about that earlier. So I've dropped both links in the chat a couple of times. I'm going to make sure they get pinned as well. But I think you might have sold at least a couple of books today.
I hope you enjoy them, and I very much appreciate it. The character, you talk about the characters. The characters' work is where I really focus the most on a lot of these.
Oh, you
I'm
make
not.
a good character, the story writes itself.
Yes, exactly. And it's always been my belief as an author. That's Rags, that's my boy. And that is the
Mhm.
titular black crown that he is questing to find throughout the story. He's a bit of a pretty boy because his mother was an extraordinarily beautiful woman. She was a queen. She comes from good stock. He comes from good stock. Um,
Mhm.
I really, wanted to kind of play against type with most of these characters. So you've got Rags, who, half orc, who's a little runty, a little on the runty side for a half orc, a pretty
Mhm.
boy. Your farm boy is not as altruistic. He's a little self-centered and self-aggrandizing. Your elf, that's Denny the elf, who is helpless. Again, he
Mhm.
does not have magic. He doesn't have a bow and arrow. He doesn't. He's a religious goodwill worker, and their sect believes that they're put on this earth to be servants to other people. He doesn't even
Oh.
accept money for it. So uh, he doesn't even get paid. Like, they work off of charity. So and he's a bit of a worrywart and a bit of
I can
a bit of
see that with the
yeah, this artist nailed him perfectly. I could not have asked for a better uh, a better picture of this character, just like they did for another character who becomes integral to the story, which is the blonde elf that I have down there for you. That is Princess Aniala Starsong, who is I don't want to give away too much. She comes into play in the story towards the back half. Who was an elvish princess that had an unfortunate run-in with orcs in the past, and thus that resulted in the scars that she has on the side on that side of her body. I kind of, again, going against type, wanted an elf that had the spirit of it, but I didn't want like scars that make you think, scars, badass. I wanted scars that make you
Mhm.
think, oh my god, what happened?
Yeah,
It's
that's
supposed to be a big
horrific kind of
slashing
thing.
scar. It looks more like a
Mhm.
burn scar here, but it's fine. They did a great job on this. It's the same artist for Denny, and
And
I,
we have Court.
that's Cortland. That's Cortland. You can just see the rage.
Mhm.
This is a guy who is defined by anger. And one thing, I put a little bit of this into a lot of myself into Court because I have anger issues, and
No.
when you have anger, anger is a poison that boils
Yeah.
very close to the surface, and it gets demonized a lot. And so it's kind of a catharsis to write Court, who just explodes at times and is at times just unbridled violence. In a lot of ways, he's kind of like an orc with he's kind of like a human with the heart of an orc,
Mm.
in that violence is just the solution to most of his problems, and he punches people really hard. So you know uh he's just a bash my head against the wall until the wall gives way kind of a character. And he clashes with the other characters who are much more level-headed, but that vein of still wanting to be a good-hearted knight is there, and it's the kind of thing that keeps him close to his friends and keeps him going forward with them. And I just, I rather than going for like rule of cool with all my characters and trying to make every character in a D&D party as cool as possible, I really went with a
Mhm.
lot of against type characters that in a lot of ways are a little subversive to your expectations, but also end up delivering those expectations. That's always been my problem with subversion, is that you can subvert a trope, a story,
Mhm.
an expectation, but you do have to deliver something meaningful to your characters. That's kind of like when what's his name, Kevin Smith, did the Masters of the Universe cartoon a few years ago. His whole mindset going into that was subversion. You didn't expect He-Man to die, did you? Ha ha! Expectations subverted. It's all about Tila. Isn't that interesting? You didn't expect that, but that's not what we wanted.
Right.
We wanted He-Man. We wanted
Right.
8 episodes of He-Man versus Skeletor and something awesome. And uh, that's a lesson. I kind of pride myself on learning from the mistakes of others. And
Well, yes, absolutely. And also when it comes to established legacy characters, the expectations that you can
yes,
subvert are very different.
Very much so. They think that subversion is just being clever because you delivered something your audience didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, that's kind of how that's a little how the twist on the Black Crown kind of works for readers who have read it. Cosmortal Comics can attest to that. You know, you are presented with what feels like a very bog standard epic fantasy adventure at the start, only for things to take turns a little later and come to find out you have characters that are presented with a path one way or the other and decide that, hey, maybe the path we should take, the path that is most congruent with free will, is the one we forge for ourselves. And this third path is harder, and it's only going to get harder, but it's the path I chose versus the path others have chosen for me, or the path others have forced me onto. And that's as close as I'll get to spoilers for the book. Because it's very much a thing of I want people to read that and kind of be taken on that journey for themselves. Now, I do not do the same thing for the Lionheart. For the Lionheart, I very much wanted a much more straightforward adventure. I do have some moments that kind of recontextualize moments later in the earlier in the book, but this is very much a different appeal to this. Like I said, the starter books that each one kind of has a different appeal to different readers. You have the Black Crown, which is epic fantasy and an epic quest, and the Lionheart is a straightforward action adventure superhero story.
Oh, exciting! Tell me all about it. Let's go.
So this was a little bit of a fine line to go. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, start with the character. Like, tell us who this character is.
The main character is a young man named Artemis Hylorn. He is not a prince like Ragoth, although he was a little in high society. His father is the archmage for the Empire of Nornrath, which again is a desert empire ruled by an emperor named Praetor. And Artemis wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. That was his dream, which is, and there's no spoilery stuff here. This is all first chapter stuff that I'm about to tell you, okay? His heart at the very first line of the book is broken because he finds out he's arc blind, which in Allspire means you cannot use magic. You are basically, it's mute, but for magic. You can't use magic in any way. So his dream of wanting to follow in his father's footsteps is shattered. But rather than let it beat him down and kind of defeat him, he finds us out at the tender age of 10, mind you. So it's a young boy's heart being broken. It's almost as bad as losing your dog. He decides to pivot because he wants to help he wanted to become an archmage like his dad to help his father fight necromancers, sorcerers, and all the other the evil magic users in this world that are the people who are the forbidden classes that are not allowed to exist by the arcane order. He decides to pivot and says, well, if I can't do it as an archmage, I will do it as an inquisitor, which is Allspire's version of a judge. They act in their court system as a judge and jury, and they're committed to the cause of justice. He tells this to his father. His father says, son, you have the heart of a lion. And so he holds on to that for a long time. Fast forward into chapter 1, Artemis is grown, and he goes with his father to watch some court proceedings for a man who's accused of necromancy. And they get called into the emperor's chamber, only to find out that the emperor himself is actually a necromancer in the violation of the law of the arcane order. His father, unfortunately, is coerced into doing his bidding because he has a family that the emperor can threaten. And shortly after finding one of the reason he does this is because he wants Artemis under his thumb as an inquisitor as well, to force him to do, what he wants to do. And shortly after finding this out, he goes and runs to find and talk to his best friend, his childhood friend Nero, only for Nero to stab him through the back and leave him
like literally stabbed him in the back.
Literally stabbed through the heart, through his back. That's how chapter 1 ends.
Whoa.
Have I got folks yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have my attention, sir. You have my attention.
I wanted as much of the I wanted this stuff to be front loaded into the book. So because one of the lessons I learned from the Black Crown, I wouldn't want to change anything from the Black Crown. I tightened up some of the stuff for the second edition because I wanted this to be all ages accessible. I went back to the Black Crown very recently before the Lionheart came out, and I took out vulgarity, a few risque scenes, fixed some typos. I tightened up the prologue. When I read my book to my daughter, I had to self-censor a lot, and I didn't like that. And I wanted these books to be more accessible to younger readers and to Christian readers as well. So the Black Crown second edition is live now, and it matches in tone with the Lionheart. But getting back to this story, yeah, the end of book one, the end of chapter one, he's been stabbed to the back and left for dead. Beginning of chapter two is where he initially gets his powers, and he gets his powers because before he died, he was saved from death by a cosmic benefactor, a cosmic being that calls himself the Walker of Worlds. He is this 10,000-year-old being. You can think of him like the Doctor in a lot of ways, who has got a cosmic level power. You think of a god with a little g, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And he found Artemis. He took pity on him. He listened to his story. He took mercy and pity on him. He says, I can hear the truth of what you're saying and the conviction you're saying it with. Artemis is despondent because all he ever wanted to do was fight for justice. And he is essentially in a place where he was powerless to do that. And now he's been stabbed by his best friend.
Oh my goodness.
So the Walker decides to impart into him a shard of his power, and it turns him into this. I should have mentioned before, Artemis is a little scrawny to begin with, very a little short and wiry because he's half elf as well.
Oh,
his father is an elf and his mother is a human, and so when he gets this shard of power fused onto his thread of life, it transforms him, Captain America, He-Man style, into this another 7-foot dude, Undertaker-sized guy who's powerful. He's got powers that are not possible by any other being on Allspire. And that was very much by design as far back as the Black Crown. One thing I've made clear in both books, wizards cannot fly. There is not a magic spell that lets them fly like a hero, like a superhero, essentially. They can't do stuff that alters their physical form. I wanted to nerf my magic because people who use magic in D&D are like giga busted.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do anything.
Even at low levels.
Yeah.
You get someone that learns polymorph and like it's all over. Like they can do whatever they want. But so yes, he can fly. That's towards the back of the book, mind you. That is a much bigger moment that happens. It's not like it's a spoiler. It's right there on the cover.
Yeah. He's with the cape floating, wind in his hair. He has gorgeous hair, by the way.
The dreads, yeah. I looked to pro wrestling for a lot of inspiration for a lot of stuff, from fight scene psychology to character work but another thing is, like, in still photos of pro wrestling, guys with long hair, that looks so dynamic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of why I went with the dreads with him. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And a very little of it these days has been made with a Christian reader in mind, a clean reading that you feel you can hand to your kids, or, you can hand to your mom. My mom read my books, even though she doesn't really read fiction. So, he gets his powers. He's off and running. He's got the power now to kind of enact the justice that he wants, to fight back the way he wants. But there is a problem. And the problem mainly being that his existence is actually a crime. I mentioned the Arcane Order before. They have 4 classes of magic users that are forbidden. They are allowed to execute people who practice this magic on sight. Necromancers, witches, sorcerers, because Selrock was a sorcerer, and warlocks.
You cut out for like a second. Okay. We heard necromancer, and then you cut
necromancers, out. Witches must have been some witchcraft. Witches didn't want that getting out. Um, sorcerers, because Selrock was a sorcerer. And the fourth one is very important, is warlocks, people who get their power from an unknown deity. And since the Walker of Worlds is not from Allspire, he is essentially an unknown deity. And that means Artemis qualifies to be a warlock. His father would have to know, if he told his father would have to arrest him, and he would be turned over to the order for execution.
Oh,
probably the best line one of the best lines I wrote in the book sums up his situation. When he confronts the Walker about this, he says, "You have not made me, an icon of justice. You have made me a fugitive from it." So now he is an enemy of the state. He's an enemy of the crown. He is, he's got the Emperor's orc armies after him. The Arcane Order is after him, not knowing who this powerful individual is or what they're doing. He has no recourse. So he kind of gets driven underground a little bit, and that's where the story really starts to take off. I mentioned that he was stabbed in the back at the beginning. That's because when he came across this temple where his friend lived, he found these individuals called night takers. They're kidnappers that kidnap people and sell them into slavery in other nations. They were kidnapping a temple full of children. And so when he gets his powers, that's his big priority, is I've got to find these children before we can't find them again. And in order to do that, he ends up getting some sidekicks on both sides of the law. He befriends an orc named Grim, who is a guard that is sent to capture him. And if he doesn't capture him, he dies in 3 days because of this magic collar around his neck. Well, when Artemis's powers manifest, it's a big, massive magic explosion. Grim is one of the first orc guards on the scene, and Artemis kind of beats the crap out of all of them. And Grim kind of doesn't go after him or doesn't fight him because he's so scared crapless. This is a severe blow to orc honor. And so his commander charges him and says, "You failed to even fight. You've dishonored yourself, the guard, your tribe." So he says, "I'm charging you to go find this individual that you let go back." He puts this collar on his neck called a searing scorpion. If it doesn't get taken off in 3 days, it burns white hot, so it'll kill him. So he joins up with the orc, who is a city guard. So he is kind of the embodiment of the city's justice. On the other hand, he also comes across a plague doctor / mad scientist / rogue wizard named Tesla Gothgrave, who is a little eccentric. And she is the owner of you can see him right there in the corner of the book. That is the animal companion for the book. His name is Snout, and he is a pangolin. Because pangolins are freaking awesome.
He looks like an armadillo.
That's kind of what a pangolin is. It's like the same kind of family. They're like an armadillo with tank armor on them.
Oh, I love it.
They're so weird. They're like, the first time I ever saw a pangolin, I was like, how have I never seen these in a nature documentary before? Because it was like a real life Pokemon. I'm like, they even roll up in a ball when they're scared. I'm like, this is cute. This is adorable. Why did they been hidden from me?
As you can see, I have my animal companion today. This is Remy LeBeau. He is 2 months old. And he was just a couple weeks old when my husband found him starving to death in my daughter's engine well.
Oh.
And we nursed him. Well, I pretty much nursed him back to health because, my husband works during the day. And now I'm his mom. He very much sees me as his mom. And there are times when he's like, "Excuse me, hold me now." And there is no choice in the matter. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm done." I go back to my spot. I'm loving this. I am really, really loving this. Like, this is, I love how your brain works. This is some amazing work you have done. How long did you work on this before you published?
The whole series or just this book?
Just this book. Just this book.
Too long. And I had started work on the Lionheart shortly before the Black Crown was published, just the concept. And I made a big mistake, which was I had a very general plot line out. And I did that for the Black Crown and it worked. And it really clicked like halfway through the book. A lot of readers are pointing that out. They're like, there's a point in this book where it seems like everything really comes together. Hey, Left Eye Ego, good to see you, man.
Oh,
Ego's a bro. I met him in Texas a couple months ago. And it was great. It was amazing. And he has read The Black Crown.
Speaking of which, Left Eye, I'm going to be in Texas for about a week and a half, I think, in September. So just letting you know.
He just had a kid too. His first baby.
I know. And I said I'm going to send something, and I meant it. I'm going to. Maybe I'll just bring it with me to Texas. I don't know. I love his family. I've known them forever, and we are Facebook friends.
Yeah,
it means something to me.
I streamed with Ego before. He's a great dude. I miss the old him and AJ streaming together.
Yeah.
Such a great duo.
That's how I know AJ. And Ego and I have streamed together back, oh God, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, back when my channel was just like back before the first rebrand, back when I was still comics and cosmetics. Like that was a long time ago. I've known him forever.
I don't remember your channel. I remember comics and cosmetics.
Yeah,
I almost certainly followed you on my old YouTube account.
Yeah, yay! Yeah, that's me.
Like, I remember that now. That I do remember that name.
Yeah, that's me. That's still how I do my breakdowns. Like I do my makeup at the same time. It's where it all came from.
Yeah, small world, small YouTube, isn't it? So, before I lose my train of thought too much,
yes,
I worked on this for 2 years and it was too long. The vague outline thing resulted in me getting stuck on chapters, sometimes for about a month at a time. And that shouldn't have happened. And I at times did not hunker down and power through and get the writing done the way I should have. So I'm looking to not have that be the kind of release schedule. It wound up being 2 years after actually 2.5 years, if you want to break it down. That's unacceptable to me as, for the release schedule that I want to have for my books. And I'm already working on book 3, which is a swashbuckling vigilante romance adventure about that one's about a deposed princess of the Crown Pantheon waging a guerrilla war, Zorro style, against the houses that killed her family. And
no way.
The man that they send to stop her is the man that she loves with all her heart. So a little bit of what's the trope called? Haters to lovers, something like that.
Enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers. Yeah, a little bit of that going on. I kind of
something
I
for the
peeked
lady.
in on romantasy. I'm like, what do y'all like in romantasy? I'm like, okay, what could I do with this particular trope that it's a little different? So it doesn't require them forcing them to sleep in one bed in a hotel in the middle of nowhere.
Oh man, you're on fire.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I've got a lot of books I want to write, and I'm trying to get them out as quick as I can. This one wound up being a lot. Like the Black Crown is 193,000 words. I should have a reformatted version. It is a little chunky. Hold on, my proof copy.
She's a thick girl.
I can't find it. Forget it. I can't find it. But the Black Crown is about 100,000 words less than this. So it wound, as I was writing it, it wound up, I was getting into the third act and I'm like, I'm only at 100. I'm only at like 80,000 words. Like, is this going to be a much shorter book? And rather than pad it out, rather than put in filler, because it would feel forced. I rather preferred a leaner, meaner, tightly written story. And than to fill it with, more bloat, which is another vibe shift in a lot of fantasy that a lot of people are kind of feeling. That some of these books is like, are you really justifying 600 to 800 pages for some of these? In some cases, yes. In a lot of cases, no. I would feel I had a big adventure I wanted to tell in the Black Crown with 2 POV characters, but the Lionheart it's all from Artemis's point of view. It's strictly about him with a few side characters along for the ride, and it moves along at a much quicker pace. And I kind of wanted that by design because it just moves better. And not everybody has time for a 600-page adventure. I've got a lean, mean 320 pages or so out of this, and it's much more digestible. And I think much more of a people pleaser, fan pleaser of sorts, especially for the genre that it's in, which is superhero and action adventure.
I'm really excited to check them out. Like this sounds. I mean, you're right. It sounds right up my alley. Like if that dude on the cover is hot, like I'm just gonna.
There's no such no romance in the the line.
I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm not a romance girly. I'm like,
but you never know what the future may bring. But look, I'll be honest. I'm a bit of a romantic at heart. I don't mind romance as an element. I have
heard it here first, guys. John Douglas is a romantic.
I mean, I've been married for 25 years. And we've managed to keep the spark alive. I know a little bit about romance. I like a story about a guy and a boy meets girl, fall in love a little bit, but it's my contention with like the romantasy genre has been that it subsumes so much of the fantasy in general, and a lot of it is so female coded that it's unrelatable to watch, to kind of watch it, especially when it's the primary focus of the book. And
it tends to become it
the only focus.
It's taken on this. We were talking about how the publishing industry has changed so much in the last 20 years, but genres have changed a lot, and the fantasy genre seems to have taken this shift to become more of a feminine genre.
Yes,
in the last 20 or so years because of the romantasy thing.
It really has. Genre. Even with the stuff that's being pitched as bog state, just ordinary fantasy is very much female coded, and it doesn't have a lot of the elements that the exciting and adventure and danger. And a lot of it ends up having therapy speak and people dealing with their traumas and men who cry, and like that's not fun to read. Even Brandon Sanderson, who didn't write these things. Not to mention a lot of activist elements that we don't care for. A lot of stuff's written with Reddit brain, just baked into the text. Brandon Sanderson did not used to write this stuff this way. He wrote very straightforward stuff. His last book that came out, Wind and Truth, apparently was loaded with it, to the extent he had a character calling himself his world's first therapist. Like, brother, toss it out. This is not fun to read.
Oh my God.
Reddit therapy sessions are not fun to read. And I read for entertainment, and subsequently I write to entertain others. I'm not one of those authors who loves to, I don't mind dark fantasy or grimdark at times, but this element of people reading going, oh God, I just want to be emotionally devastated by the end of this. I don't. I feel like it puts. I want to be entertained. When you close one of my books, I want you to have a smile on your face, or at the very least, invested enough to go like, that felt good. Reading that felt good. And I've had books that have done that for me, and that's kind of what I try and put out there as well. That you felt like you went on an adventure with some friends you like hanging out with, because that's the kind of stuff that I read when I was a kid and when I was growing up as a teen. So I try and provide that. Because we don't get that with a lot of entertainment these days. We get lectures. We get lectures that are disguised as entertainment, and they forget the entertainment part.
Yeah. What you're supposed to do is give them something to think about and not tell them they're bad people and beat them and tell them this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to present ideas in a subtle way, you know, in a story. Star Trek The Next Generation was genius at it. They did that in beautiful, wonderful ways. But now they're not leading the horse to water. They are dragging the horse to the water trough and holding its head underwater until the bubbles stop. That's what they're doing these days.
And then telling you should feel bad for it.
Yes, and that you should feel bad that you drowned. It's your fault. It's all your fault. Why are you making
also Orange
this?
Man bad just for no reason whatsoever?
So, who would you say is the audience for these books? Like, who would like these books? Who would read these books?
Anyone who likes just unpretentious, enjoyable reads. That was one of the things that I did with this is with the Douglas arc that I came up with, which is the arc structure that I'm using for the books, is that the different books have different appeals to different readers. So you have the Lionheart, which is straightforward action adventure. The Black Crown is a D&D style epic fantasy. The Court of the Scarlet Shrike I mentioned earlier, that's a swashbuckling vigilante romance adventure. Those are different. Those are different books with different appeals. And for different readers, you know, you can look at this selection and go, well, you know, I don't have to start at this book one. I can start at this other starter book, depending on what you like. And if you want to follow through with that character, you can move on to their direct sequel. So I tried to come up with a pithy name for this, by the way, something that was punchy and marketable. And in the end, I just decided, I was like, well, I'll just put my name on there. I came up with it anyway. I called it the Douglas arc. It's not really inspired by anything. It's just the way I think it caters to different readers of different kinds, because you've got like a 60% drop off of readers who go from book 1 to book 2, and then an even steeper drop off of people who move on to book 3. The people who move on to book 3, you know, those are your real hardcore fans. They're invested in your series if they move on that far. But by and large, most people are book 1 and done. Just whether they feel like it or not, or whether they don't feel like moving on with a big series. I mentioned the vibe shift against big series was kind of moving. And George R. R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss are directly responsible for that attitude. The whole Game of Thrones will never be finished, and I'm not going to get started on that, but that's my belief. It will not be finished. It can't be finished in 2 books. And that's kind of poisoned the well for a lot of fantasy authors. I have seen the sentiment echoed in many corners on social media of, I'm not starting a series until I know it's done. Now, I'm not done with my series, but I think it is a bit of value to offer your readers more jumping off points if they want, and more jumping on points if they want. So hopefully when I get done with this, I have 7 books, and the way it goes is I have 3 starter books. I have 3 direct sequels to those starter books. Book 7 is a massive crossover between all of those books, storylines. The book ones, the starter books, they're all done in a manner to where they are complete stories. They can be read by themselves. And they do not sequel bait you. The story is open for more adventures once that book is done, and I do have more planned. But if you read The Black Crown and don't move on to its sequel, you don't miss anything. You don't feel like you got sequel baited. Oh, well, there's a cliffhanger at the end. I've got to read book 2 to figure out what happens next. It's okay. It's okay to one and done. And that's the beauty of the Douglas arc. It offers you that. But for the fans that want more, I've got this set of characters. I've got 3 sets of characters. I can see where they're going, where they start connecting at in the sequel books. And then you've got an Avengers style crossover between all of them in book 7. And that concludes all their arcs for,
really clever. This is
I
really
surprised
clever.
myself with it.
It's kind of like almost like a choose your own adventure arc.
You could
You
look at
know?
it like that way a little bit, but only you can choose which character to kind of start with. Now, you could read book 7 without if you're only invested in, say, the Scarlet Shrike. You could read that, but you would be a little without context for a lot of other characters' plot lines happening in book 7 if you were only in it for that character.
Yeah.
A lot of indie authors, what they do is they do something similar, but they do it when they jump all over the place, and that bugs my head a little bit, just as a
Yeah,
reader,
that's difficult.
which has led to a lot of, like, I have 5 rules for my my world, which is no multiverses, no time travel, death is permanent. I am not going to I may tease you with, oh, did they die or they did not die. I'm not going to kill someone and then go into the afterlife and bring them back. I'm not going to do that, or bring in a multiverse variant or anything. I think we're kind of over that stuff. The magic has hard limits. That was important for the Lionheart. But one big one for me is no prequels. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for me to be enjoying the storyline of something, and then all of a sudden the creator, the author, whatever, says, stop. We're going back in time to see how we got to where we were at the start of the series. It is so frustrating. I was loving.
So, by the way, guys, my prequel to the comic book, Last Dance of the Disparities, will be coming out on Amazon soon.
No shade, and I will indulge in other creators' prequels, okay? But just when I was watching Deep Space Nine, I was loving it, and Voyager, and I was loving it. We reached the end of Voyager. What's next? Enterprise. We're going back in time, guys, to the pre-original series era. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go back in time to the Star Wars prequels, right? Like I read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I cannot tell you. Have you read it?
No, my mother did. My dad.
Slight spoiler, but you would want to be spoiled for this, trust me, because if I had, I would have digested it better.
I know all about it.
Book 4, Wizard and Glass, is humongous because the middle 70% of that book is a massive prequel novel about how Roland got on his quest to go to the Dark Tower. I was not prepared for it. I damn near threw that book away. I was and it was so slow. It was such a slow burn that I was tired. I was flipping through pages. I'm like, can we please get to the point here, man?
Yeah.
So, gosh, I don't mind. Yeah, mind prequels after they end. Yeah, but what's it? Robert Jordan did that. He wrote a prequel book in the middle of his thing. George R. R. Martin's doing it right now. He's writing prequel books.
Don't get an
instead of the sequel everyone wants him to write. So it's frustrating for me. So I don't mind talking about stuff that happened in the past on Allspire, or divulging information that might not necessarily be in the books, because I'm not going back and writing the War of Sorrows prequel book. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to write what happened in the Orc Wars, because we already know how it ends. Most of the orcs died, and Raggoth was born because of it. It's just an annoyance for me. I don't like it, so I'm not going to do that with my own book series. Brandon Sanderson's got his Cosmere, and that's similar. Like, all his book series are set in different worlds, but they're in the same universe. Ryan Cahill, he's an indie author. He does that, but it's frustrating to me because he does a big book and then a novella, and it might be like a sidequel. Sometimes it's a prequel set in the past. Like, to my brain, that feels like a ping pong ball bouncing in a dryer. Okay. You're all over the place, and it feels sometimes like we're not actually progressing.
Yeah.
So I like the progression of the Douglas arc. I like the 3 starting points, 3 sequels, big crossover at the end. And that can be a jumping off point for readers as well. Because if I move forward with other arcs, the Douglas arc resets, and I can make those books they can feel like book ones to people. So there's more jumping on points for people, so that they don't, or standalones that don't have to have any investment whatsoever in the others. It may give you a little more context for the books, uh, but you don't necessarily have to read them. And I put that at the beginning of the Lionheart. You do not have to read the Black Crown to understand what's going on in the Lionheart. You will not. I do tease the Lionheart at the end of the Black Crown and the epilogue, but that's just a little teaser, something. Just because I am building a world that's a little connected, but because I think, guys, we're a little burnt out on too much connectivity, right? Like the MCU went to the they did their movies, but they also did their TV shows, and those ended up feeling so disjointed that people who invested in the TV shows are going to get mad because the people who are watching the movies don't care about the TV shows, and all this stuff that's happening isn't really getting played into all that much, except for I think the TVA, which I'll be honest, I didn't care for Loki, not like a lot of other people. I felt like it broke the rules of their universe a little too much.
Fair
and
enough.
It also was setting up a villain I didn't like. I was never a fan of Kang. Kang was always, I hated when he showed up in any Avengers media. I thought he had a stupid costume. I did not think he was a great villain. No matter how much you try and connect him to the people in those in the comics, I'm sorry. Doom should have been what they built on.
Yeah.
They had no plan, and it showed. It was too disjointed. I saw the trailer for Doomsday, and I felt nothing, especially for Captain Shirt Pants, Mr. Steve Rogers.
Yeah, they've made a mess of that whole situation. They've got no one to blame but Kevin Feige.
Yeah. Did you hear on Nerdrotic what the big rumors going around is for after Secret Wars? Is that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Iron Man? Which, okay.
Till he's 90.
Listen, guys, the comic book movies are now as convoluted and ridiculous as comic books themselves.
I was getting ready to say that. So you know what that means? It's time for a culling. It's when you're supposed to have a multiversal crisis event to clean it all up. Clean it all up and get rid of a bunch of crap you don't need.
Yeah.
And then reset it to a nice, clean, simplified universe and start from scratch. That's what's supposed to happen. And they're not going to do it.
I'm going to try and not do these things for my books. I have an end point for the Age of Adventures. I know where it will end. I have a sci-fi series I'm working on where I'm not going to talk about that until I have I'm not going to do the same thing with Age of Adventures. I'm going to write all 3 starter books behind the scenes. And then when I have all 3 of those done and edited and book covers and everything, I'll drop them. And that way I'll have those starter books ready for everybody. And while I'm working on the sequels to these right here, because I think giving everybody, I think trying to, please more people, giving everybody as many jumping on points and starting points as possible. People like that kind of gosh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Options.
Options. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brain's a little fried. I might need some coffee later.
Especially ladies. Ladies like having options.
Exactly.
We can't even decide where we want to eat,
Well, you roll with the book. Say which handsome fellow or which girl do I want to read on the cover? And because I have a very old school mentality when it comes to my novels. You will not see a lot of modern sensibilities with me. You'll not see men crying. You will not see girl bosses. I'm trying very hard here with my my main female character that's going to be in book 3 because I want to make sure she's not a can-do-it-all girl boss. She's a can-do-a-lot, but not everything capable character.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier when I said you do it right. If you do it the right way, those kinds of characters can be just amazing and highly entertaining, but they do have to have flaws. They are still people. If you don't make your characters people, they're so incredibly boring to read. Like, I don't want to read someone who's just perfect at everything.
There are ways to do overpowered characters, but it's very, very carefully. And you really got to know what you're doing. because otherwise you kind of bleed tension and interest out of a
Mm-hmm.
story, which I was very
Mm-hmm.
cautious of in the Lionheart too. He is essentially my world Superman. He can do a lot of things that other people cannot, but he is not completely invincible. He can. He's got a few. His power wise, he's got a few of the old standbys. You know, he's got his super strength. He's got his. He's got his endurance. You know, not invulnerability, but his fortitude. There's the word. That's the word I'm looking for. You know, he's a little fast, and but he like Superman has kind of a no kill rule because but I give a lore reason for why he does, because he was stabbed in the back and left for dead, and he knows what it feels like to die.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not going to inflict that on others with this power that I have. And at first he can't fly. He can jump really far because that's related to like his strength and everything. But because he's
that's how Superman started,
right? Because he's committed to the cause of justice, it's kind of baked into him a little bit. There goes my camera again. He's got the ability to detect when people are lying to him, and he himself cannot tell a lie. And so that makes a lot of his dialogue writing a little tricky. I got to be careful because he can't speak a known lie. I have a little bit of a liar moment in the beginning where he's like, the color of this potion is... He can't get it out because he just his power prevents him from doing that. And the other thing that he's got, I was very conscious when I was creating a black superhero not to fall into the age-old standby of blue costume and electric powers. It's kind of become a bit of a trope, static and Black Thunder. Black Lightning, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on. I had to stand up. I can't see the hole in the back of my camera. Unplug it and plug it back in. But anyway, his powers are light-based.
We lost him. He'll come back, I'm sure. He'll come back. While we're doing that, I'll just remind you guys to head on over to Amazon and grab the books. First, we have The Black Crown right there. And these are in the description below. And they're also in the chat. I put them in there a couple of times, actually. So here you have The Black Crown and The Lionheart. I'm really interested in these books, and I really like the way he talks about them. He's very, very, very passionate. And the way he has built this world and structured them, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Oh, he's got to restart. You got to restart, buddy. Let me know how that works out. We're right around wrap up. But this character right here, Artemis, dude, that is intriguing. That is very intriguing. How his powers, he's like, from how I understand it, and I could very well be wrong, but very much like a combination of Superman, but with the world ramifications or consequences of X-Men. So here he is. He's got the power set of Superman, these abilities, the morals, but he's illegal. Just existing is illegal. But he's still moral and honest. He has this very firm foundation, this fundamental grasp on, mental and moral fortitude and integrity. I like that. And we don't have enough of that in modern media at all. Not in literature, not in series, not in film, at all. Not in the last 20, 30 years, at least. We used to. Superheroes used to be chock full of that. Not anymore. But we need stuff like that. That's an aspirational character. And the fact that he doesn't kill because he knows what it feels like, that is empathy. And so many writers, especially in the big leagues. Hey, there he is. I was just saying, so many writers in big publishing or studios, they don't write with empathy anymore. And that's a huge problem. You have to be able to write with empathy. That's how people are able to relate to characters. That's how readers and viewers and listeners or whatever, that's how they're capable of relating to characters. But because they don't write with empathy anymore, they think that the only way they can relate to a character is if that character looks like them in a physical capacity. You have created an African American superhero that is fundamentally good, that has an aspirational foundation. Everything about him is aspirational, and his very core is empathetic. I mean, truly, he does not kill because he knows what it feels like to be killed by someone who was one of the closest people in his life, and to be betrayed in that way. That is writing with empathy. That is something that, people are going to open this book and they're going to be able to relate to that on some level, whether or not this character visually, physically represents them or not. They're going to be able to relate to this character because you have written him with empathy. My congratulations.
So my computer froze again. I mean, not my computer, my camera. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to bother trying to fix it. My computer, my camera does have connectivity issues, and when it starts doing this, it's not going to stop. So look, that's a good neutral face to kind of leave me on. That's okay. So I'll just talk. Maybe it'll unfreeze itself. But yeah, and I forgot to mention about Lionheart. It is a father and son story as well. My father, very important to me in my life, and he's still with me. I've always liked to say the best of me came from him. How to be a good husband, how to be a good dad, how to have work ethic, and just a lot of my morals and worldview in general. A lot of it came from him, and I wanted Artemis's father to be an integral part of the story. And indeed he is. He is under the heel of the emperor that I mentioned, but he is not, in agreement with the emperor. He is, he's coerced to doing his will. So it comes to clash towards the end of the book in a very interesting way. But I really wanted a good father-son story, because so much media these days is always, they only have one parent, and it's usually the mother, or they don't have any parents whatsoever, and they've got to figure everything out themselves. And at some point, like, Disney movies came to be made for kids with broken families, and it's kind of made, I think, some people feel like it's too much of the norm. Not that I have any problem, with anyone that comes from that. I know there's a lot of situations. Most of those are circumstances outside their control, but those of us who have whole families, we like seeing that represented as well.
Right. We're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, where you can't take from one to give to the other and call that equal or equity or representation, because it's not. It's taking to give to another, and that's still underrepresenting.
And the worst part of that is most of them do not understate how important that other parent that's gone is to a child. You do have kids that can, kind of grow up without grow up in that environment, and very obviously they'll grow up to be well balanced and normal individuals. But if you ask them if they rather would have had both parents there their entire childhood, they would tell you yes. I've got both my parents, and I cannot imagine having to grow up without them.
I had a very dysfunctional family. My mother was my primary parent. My father was very absent, but it was both of their faults. They were very petty and always warring with each other. My mother always moving far off, but my father just like, it's just not worth it, kind of situation. And
I've never cared for that, when the parents don't put the kid
exactly
first. It should be that way.
They both put me in the middle of that situation. I had to communicate for both of them at a young age, and I cannot claim that I came out well adjusted and all of that stuff. But I do completely agree that both parents are necessary for many, many reasons. And one of them being is that it's very hard raising kids. And you need to tag team that sometimes. You need help, whether or not, everything else besides the point. The very first thing is, you're going to need some help. You're going to need a break occasionally, because if you try to raise kids all by yourself, you're going to get tired mentally and physically, and that's going to have effects, whether you recognize it or not. The kids will, and they will be the ones who deal with the consequences of that. That's
I think
thing.
This is one trope that's popped up a lot and is quite popular in a lot of fantasy, and it's found family, which for as much as I do like to, espouse a good whole family dynamic is great. Mm-hmm. There is a good warm and fuzzy feeling about finding your tribe, right. finding goobers that you gel with and, are good friends with, and, you all get along. That is something definitely that, especially in a lot of media lately, I have not cared for, where you present people who are supposedly on the same team. You can have a little bit of dysfunction and conflict. That's going to come with just different personalities. But in a lot of modern media, you just have so much of it where they're antagonistic towards each other. They are sniping at each other and snarky in a way that, if I was around somebody that was like that towards me, I would not be friends with that person anymore, regardless of our aligned goals. No. Like in the Black Crown, Court is an antagonistic individual, but the other characters recognize that he's also kind of full of hot gas a lot of times, and it's not where his genuine heart lies, and that when chips are down, Court is going to come through for us, and he's going to be on our side regardless. And that's something.
Did you just say he farts a lot?
No. Did I cut out for a second?
No, I was just messing with you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, but that's an element that I added in there because there's not a lot of positive brotherhood that's shown in a lot of media either. Guys being guys, and Court being kind of a older brother figure to Ragoth, who does have an older brother, but his actual older brother and sister are very cruel and callous towards him. And here is Court, who acts, kind of callous and hot-headed and snarky, but deep down he does kind of show that he cares, and he's not going to leave Rags behind to fend for himself. So, and over the course of the book, here comes, they develop this very strong, positive bond with each other that he didn't have before. And Ragoth becomes this little brother to Cortland as well, that he kind of has to show a little bit. There's a scene in it when they're walking through a city, and I kind of put these little moments in there a lot where they're kind of walking by. There's a lot of pretty elvish girls around, and Rags is kind of rubbernecking when they're walking by, and at one point he just feels Cortland's hand, big, because Cortland is tall as well. Cortland's like 6.5 feet. He's a big dude. He's a big corn-fed country boy, Brock Lesnar type.
Yeah.
Kind of feels Cortland's hand just kind of clamp down on his head and kind of tilt it forward. And he gives him this little brotherly advice. He says, "Look with your eyes, not with your head," which is this little bit of guy advice that Ragoth didn't grow up with. His brother didn't give him advice like this. He didn't, kind of have to say, set your nerdy little cousin straight sometimes. It's just what has to be done. Because when you act out of sorts, you've got an older, wiser male to kind of set you straight and go, "Hey, look, I know how you feel, but it's not polite to do that." Little things like that. And Ragoth's story is a coming of age story. So there's a lot of moments, a lot of those risque moments that I mentioned were moments where he's kind of like dealing with a situation where he's like, I've not had to deal with this at all in my life. What am I supposed to do? And it helps to kind of have that older male kind of helping you along, and you just get really bad relationships or really bad antagonistic ones, especially from the girl bosses in modern media, right? Where they are belittling other male characters, and that infuriates me, because if I was being belittled by some girl boss in real life, my at least minimum response will be to simply walk away and let you deal with it yourself. Because I'm not going to be sharing paths with somebody that's going to treat me like crap.
Yeah.
I try and make sure my characters, they might have their little moral conflicts and they might have their little personality conflicts. They are not going to be hateful towards each other, because I wouldn't want to put up with that. I wouldn't deal with that. And most importantly, I want the adventures, these characters, to go on to feel like you're going on an adventure with friends of yours that you would want to hang out with. Even the weird one like Tesla, who occasionally might try and slip you something. You're not sure if it's poison or what it does, but you catch it in time. You just kind of ignore it. That's just what your friend does every now and then. Your friend's like, "Here, drink this." "What is it?" "Just drink it."
Just
hold up now.
Why do I feel weird? But the kind of book that when you finish the last page and you close the cover, you miss the characters, like you miss your friends.
I miss writing them already. That's already.
Awesome.
I'm anxious to write them, but I've got this book 3 to take care of, and
we've got some more super chats. Lieutenant Fancheered is asking if you're going to come back regularly.
If you will have me, my streaming schedule is kind of open, since I don't have my own channel anymore. We'll have to see what we can do about that. I do have a pretty busy real life and family life, so it might take a little coordination. But if Dani wants me to have me back, I will be happy to come back and shoot the breeze about whatever. Doesn't have to be self-aggrandizing my books, although I can do quite a lot of that.
You should always talk about your work. Always. I've been taught that.
Well, that's something I understood from very early on, is I have to be my own self-marketer. Nobody's going to do it. I see a lot of indie authors on Twitter bemoaning the fact that they are on Twitter just to kind of help maintain a presence, to help promote their books. But that's not why I'm on Twitter. It is one reason I use Twitter. Yeah. But if you watch me tweet, like my books are mentioned a bit of almost as an afterthought. I just tweet off the cuff, toilet thoughts, shower thoughts, whatever you want to call them. I don't intentionally rage bait people, although I do occasionally poke at a bear every now and then. That's because it's fun. It's always been fun for me.
Yeah.
But I accepted the whole self-marketing thing very early on, and a lot of indie authors kind of have it. They resent it because they're not good at it, and they don't want to learn to get good at it. But guys, I'm sorry, but the publishing industry has changed in a way that even if you did get your dream trad pub contract and get picked up, that doesn't mean they're going to promote you. They may put your
Yeah.
book out there and you sell a few hundred copies, and then when they say the sales weren't justifiable to keep you on as an author, they'll ditch you out. And yeah, you've got the clout
Good.
of being able to say I was a quote unquote published author, but you might not have, unless you were a marquee name.
Yeah. They're not
Putting in
going
the
to do
work to make
anything.
that. They're not going
Ask me how I know.
they're not necessarily going to put in as much work as you want them to
Mm-mm.
market. Some of them don't even have marketing departments.
No, the when I published One Foot in Darkness 20 years ago, they put out a press release to a couple of newspapers, and it was a lame, boring press release. And I think they did one in New York, one in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and that was it. Everything else I had to do. And I'm everything is different now, though. The
Yeah.
way you market is completely different. There's been a very, very, very big learning curve for me. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just because they say, yeah, we're going to publish you, doesn't mean they're going to put in any effort
Yeah,
for
and
you.
the same goes for the agents that are floating around there that say they're going to help get you
Mhm.
published. I kind of cringe when I see a lot of indie authors who have "I am querying" in their bios, as if that's supposed to mean something. Like,
Yeah.
those agents are just as are worse.
Yeah.
They are not looking for the demographics. They're looking at your social media for a reason to cancel you. This is the thing that I like about indie publishing is I am answerable to nobody but myself.
Yep.
I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in the past, and I fully admit that. But at the same time, I prefer having the reins of my own publishing career in my own hands.
Mhm.
And there's been some indie authors, they have absolutely killed it. Although, granted, they did kind of get in when the indie publishing boom was in its kind of golden era, and that is kind of
Mhm.
that's kind of out now. Like, that's over. They
Yeah,
used to
I'm
know how to
sorry I
gain.
missed it.
Yeah, the algorithm for success on Amazon doesn't work the way it used to, and they're
Mhm.
big and they're going to stay big. Andy Pelican right here behind me, uh, he's a similar. He's one that got big like that. Matt Denneman, Craig Martell, a lot of guys. They've got readerships now, but it's much more muddled these days, especially with the AI books that are kind of clogging up some of the works. But I don't worry about that in the same way that I didn't worry about all the other indie authors that are popping up here, because as the
Mhm.
Macho Man Randy Savage once said, "The cream rise to the top." Oh yeah. So
It's really
the
good.
truly exceptional indie authors out there are going to kind of rise up. It's better to
Mhm.
build your own readership, but you have to maintain a social media presence where it matters. I've had
Mhm.
success on Twitter. I have been trying to break into the shorts arena with, IG and TikTok and all that. And that's something I have not utilized fully to the best extent, that I'm going to try and fix that. But even so, like, these are avenues, that these are tools you can use to help you. Some authors are getting big on like Royal Road and writing web novels one chapter at a time, and then putting the books on Amazon. Whatever route you think can work for you is one you should use. And I fully believe that indie authors should use every tool available to get their work out there, and learn from those who do it best and try to emulate what they're doing, or do like me, be
Absolutely.
a firebrand on Twitter and get a bunch of people and turn yourself into a meme. Orc City lives forever, kids.
Well, and thank you, Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle, for the $1.99 super chat. I very much appreciate that. Very, very, very much. That helps very much. I love all the super chats. It's been very, very helpful. John, thank you so much for coming in today and teaching us all about your books. I have all the links out there. I think we might have sold a couple today. I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. I am definitely very, very, very intrigued, especially Lionheart. The Lionheart, that's really piqued my interest. I'm very fascinated in
Now,
that
right
story.
now, not right now. Lionheart only has the ebook out. I am waiting
Mm-hmm.
on the physical proofs. Me
Mm-hmm.
and my editor had to do a bunch of backwards jungle gym gymnastics, working to try and get the formatting right on the physical proofs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for those to come in, and if it looks good, I will have physical books hopefully available next week. Don't worry, it'll
Fantastic.
be on Twitter. You will not, nobody will miss it because I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftops. And I'm looking forward to those. And shortly thereafter, I will work on a hardcover
Well, as
for it.
soon as you have all that taken care of, let me know. Get you,
I will do
I'll
so.
get that taken care of, and then we'll bring you back on. And we can talk about it. We'll promote it.
Sounds wonderful to me. Doesn't hurt my
All right.
feelings.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Make sure you have the like button smashed. Make sure you have subscribed and ring the notification bell. If you want to help support my channel, all you have to do is those things. Those are the easiest and the freest way to help support the channel. It lets our algorithm overlords know that you like the content I'm putting out there and you think that others might enjoy it as well. There's also that QR code that you see up on the screen that will take you to buymeacoffee.com/comics and MUA, and you can tip me as little or as much as you like. And that goes directly to me and bypasses YouTube altogether, and they don't get their 20%. That just goes straight to me. There's also the Cash App option. That's all in the description below. If you would like to help support Veiled Legacy Book 1 Midwest Gothic, that is my indie book, you can go to actually pre-order it right there at the link that's going by on your screen or in the description below. You can pre-order it or you can back the campaign for as little as $1 and get your name in the back as a thank you. You can get a digital copy for $10. I'm cheap. Anyway, if you want to help support the comic book and maybe get some exclusive behind the scenes access as well, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/comics. And there's all kinds of behind the scenes access. We're talking rough sketches, thumbnails, first drafts of scripts, line edits, full pages, and polls and vlogs every single Friday. And as soon as Patreon fixed whatever they did to my page, where they completely erased my merch tab, and they're just as baffled by it as I am, we'll get that taken care of, and everyone will be back to receiving merch every 3 months for the first year of their membership. And it is supposed to be the only place in the world where you can get exclusive Veiled Legacy merch. There are 4 tiers starting as little as $3 a month, and that is at patreon.com/comics. And there's also the official Comics and merch store at comicsand.shopify. I always want to say Spotify. At shopify.com, where you can get all kinds of super cool official merch inspired by all your nerdy favorites, including the new official logo merch, everything designed and created by yours truly, including the new official Comics and mug, all at comicsand.myshopify.com. Everything I have told you about can be found at my website, comics-and.com. Information about the channel, about my books, including the novellas that will be coming out soon. As soon as I am done with the breakdown, like I said, I've only got 30 more minutes of footage to get through. But as soon as I'm done with Big Barda, I can get back to my rewrites on The Last Dance of the Hesperides, which is my iceberg for the Veiled Legacy series. It is the origin of the first vampire, the first vampire hunter, and the Brotherhood of Abraxas. And that will be coming out on Amazon Kindle as well. Information about that, the comic book, a little bit about myself, my portfolio of special effects work. It's all there at comics-and.com. This channel is powered by the Red 5 Network. We are a collective of exclusively nerdy podcasters and content creators here to educate and entertain you. So if you like this podcast, chances are you are going to love more of what the Red 5 Network has to offer you. So check out red5.bio.link today to discover more of your Red 5 family of podcasts. And until next week, guys, thank you. Thank you so much, fan cheered. Hashtag Save Stargate. Till next time, I've been Dani. He has been author John Douglas, and you have been awesome. Take care of each other, support indie creators, and keep your eyes.
This is my veil legacy.